This is all we got coming today. Like to call to order the Wednesday, November 4th, 2015 Board of Adjustment meeting. Roll call, please.
Albertson.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Dolly.
Here.
Shriver.
Here.
Stein.
Here.
McGuire, Johnson, Arnold, and Stonebarger are absent.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the October 22nd, 2015 minutes. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dolly,
Second.
second by Mr. Hanson. Little lapse there. Time zone got me. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Second item on the agenda is applicant Tim Syme, permit number 16430, asking for conditional use to operate an electronics and power tool repair business out of his family dwelling located at 810 8th Street Northeast.
Yep. Yes, let me show you a picture of the area here. Okay. The applicant seeks conditional use approval to operate an electronics and power tool repair business from his single-family dwelling located in the R2A single-family attached residential district. Staff finds that that home occupations is a listed conditional use in the R2A single-family residential district per city zoning ordinance sections 21-1804, 21-16031, and 21-14035. The applicant proposes to utilize part of the basement, less than 25% of the home's 1,318 square feet of living area for the business use. The applicant has received and will comply with the ordinance requirements for home occupations per definition and per Chapter 2170. This board must determine if satisfactory provision and arrangement has been made concerning compliance with specific rules governing individual conditional uses, including but not limited to 210202 2B6A through H. Additionally, it is this board's responsibility to review the property's compliance with the following in consideration of secondary use approval. Chapter 2163, off-street parking and loading requirements. According to the applicant's submitted site plan, the property has a 25-foot gravel driveway from the alley to the single-car garage. The minimum number of legal-sized and durable surfaced off-street parking spaces required for just the single-family dwelling, the primary use, is 2. It appears that there is only 1 legal off-street parking space on this property. However, there is sufficient area for a total of 4 off-street parking spaces in the rear yard. Chapter 2173, landscape and lighting standards. This parcel is compliant with boulevard and infrastructure requirements, the grass, trees, sidewalk, curb and gutter. It also deserves compliance with Chapter 2180, signs and outdoor advertising. The applicant has requested that he have a sign, and he will comply with the standards, home occupation standards, which is a 400 square inch sign. It's limited to that. This board must determine if the request shows satisfactory provision and arrangement concerning the ordinance sections identified. If endorsed, stipulations such as defined durable surfaced off-street parking spaces, more of them, may be considered as conditions of approval.
Thank you. Were all the green cards sent out and received back?
Yep.
With that, I'll open the public hearing if anyone's here to speak on behalf or against the permit. I have a couple questions for the applicant if he's here. You can come on up, state your name. We're recording this. Get on TV.
Tim Syme.
Hey, Tim. A couple of the questions I had is under Section 2170, no storage of outdoor equipment. I want to make sure you're aware of that. We
Yes.
can't have outdoor storage of TVs and appliances, things
No,
like
all
that.
in the basement.
No non-resident employee.
Correct.
That's part of our home occupation. And then it has to be maintained in the primary dwelling. It can't be run out of the outbuilding. I
Correct.
just want to make sure you're aware of that before we go any further. Traffic that comes and goes, how many? I saw it in there. Was it a couple clients a day you're thinking would come and
Yeah,
go?
At the most.
Okay. Anyone else have any other questions for him?
What are going to be your hours? It says that it's potentially 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. Monday through Friday, but a mediation hearing may change that to Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. What's that going on?
The mediation hearing is over, and it is Monday through Friday.
And you have arrangements for your parking then, Tim? You're satisfied with, you can get up to 4 people in your, either on your side or your backyard there?
Yes,
Which will cover the 1 or 2 people.
yes.
Any other questions for Tim? Seeing none, I'll close anyone else to speak on behalf or against the, with that, I'll close the public hearing, ask for a motion in a second for discussion.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Albertson, second by Mr. Dolly. Any other discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Next item on the agenda, item number 3, James Meyer, permit number 16431, appeals the building official's determination and consequences having unlawfully enlarged and altered his non-conforming garage located at 327 4th Street Northeast.
It came to staff's attention that a residential accessory structure located in the R3 multifamily residential district had undergone recent alterations without permit. Investigation inspection was performed, revealing that the non-conforming structure had undergone more than simple maintenance and that the resulting remodel and raising was done unlawfully. The applicant comes now seeking variance relief to allow for said unlawfully enlarged non-conforming 640 square foot unattached garage to remain 0.4 feet from the side west property line where a minimum 9 foot is required, and 15 feet from the front north property line where a minimum 25 feet is required, by appealing the building official's determination, which is based on the following terms of the zoning ordinance. 210302 prohibits the remodeling, altering, and enlargement of nonconforming structures. 211002 is the height and placement regulations for accessory structures. 216001, all required setbacks shall be open, unoccupied space extending from the natural ground level to the sky with no obstructions. And 216002, no adjacent open space shall be used to satisfy any setback required for any other structure. And no setback shall be reduced in dimension below the minimum required set for the district in which such yard is located. Staff findings: investigation inspection revealed that that the non-conforming 640 square foot building was raised with 2 rows of blocks, adding to the cubic contents of the building. A foundation was poured and structural repairs were made to the frame and sill. There is a 1,334 square foot buildable area on the west side of this parcel on which to construct a compliant structure of equal or greater square footage without variances, such as an attached garage that could be up to 1,334 square feet, or an unattached garage which could be up to 961 square feet. So those could have been actually created conformingly. Specific variance, the chapter of the ordinance that specifies variance is that the applicant must make application, of course, before doing anything to the structure, that he must prove that special conditions and circumstances exist in order to be granted a variance, and that special conditions and circumstances do not result from the actions of the applicant. And no accessory building is to be enlarged, non-conforming accessory building is to be enlarged. It is to be permitted in conformance with the provisions of 211002. So this parcel also lacks sidewalk on the north side. That is something that is missing from the typical requirements of each lot in town. If endorsed, this board has the authority to require fulfillment of any and all boulevard infrastructure requirements in conjunction with any structural improvements authorized by building permit.
Thank you, Joe. With that, I'll open the public hearing. If anyone's here to speak on behalf or against the permit, is James here? You better come up here. You're in trouble. Well, I'm sure we'll have some questions for you. I assume you didn't know you needed a building permit to do what you did?
Correct.
Tell us what you had and what you're trying to accomplish with this.
I had a garage that was leaning about 3 inches to the south and about another 2 inches to the east. The slab was cracked inside. It was really leaning, and so I wanted to straighten it up, make it safer and a better garage. And so I supported it, did my 10-inch foundation or footing, and then I did 2 runs of block, and built it up, and just trying to make a better garage for me to park my vehicles in. I plan to put new siding on it and a new roof and new garage doors.
You did it all yourself? You weren't working with a commercial contractor?
Correct.
Okay. So your plan is if the building permit is issued, you're gonna new roof, new siding?
Correct.
And I looked in one of the pictures, I noticed the house, it's a large white house, that looks like you're gonna try to match that somewhat?
Yes, sir.
I mean, that looks very well kept. I can see where the garage was getting a little bit dilapidated. You know, one of the questions I have is, you know, if you were working with a commercial contractor, they know what you need building permits for, and sometimes it can be a little confusing as to, am I just fixing what I have, or am I adding something in there? I assume that's why you didn't realize you got to come up and pay Kenny.
Yeah, it's.
What's the cost of the building permit, Ken?
For the repair like that, that'd be based off what it is. Estimated cost of materials and labor,
Okay.
so 1,000
For cost of material?
and labor. Well, what's your cost of materials you estimate?
I estimate about $7,000.
$7,000
I
for?
think that'd be very high between,
Well, no, I'm not talking about your shingles and siding though. I'm just talking about your foundation that you've done so far and that elevation.
yeah, about
extra.
1,500.
Yeah, so it'd be, then we had double that for labor, it'd be about 3,000. He
Okay.
can actually re-site it and re-shingle it without a permit.
Without a
Those
building-
are considered maintenance.
That's, okay, gotcha. At what time when do you think you'll have the project completed?
I would say middle of December. You can side in the winter. No,
Joe, what did you say about the sidewalk? Does that have to be put in now? Is that what you said?
It does not. You can require that if you want, but it doesn't have to be a condition of it. That's your dealer's choice. You're the dealer.
You can consider that, for instance, if it was a situation of connectivity for the block,
Yeah.
you might consider requiring that as a condition of this approval if you.
And is there sidewalk on either side of your house?
No,
I
sir.
mean, there's no sidewalk that comes up to you?
no.
There's sidewalk against Highway 81,
Yeah,
but not to the north.
okay.
I guess I should talk into the mic if I'm going to talk, huh?
And no sidewalk to the west.
So it would be a sidewalk. It would be a sidewalk to no place if you were to put one in,
Correct.
but would be willing to put one in if the neighbors all wanted it and do what
We wouldn't be against a waiver of right to protest.
What a waiver of right to protest is you're supposed to have a sidewalk in there, but you bought the house without the sidewalk. So what we do in many cases, we'll request a waiver of right to protest a sidewalk, that if something comes through and all of a sudden all the neighbors down the road start to put sidewalks in, you too would be required to finish out the sidewalk because you'd signed that waiver. It's just something we try to get the sidewalks when the time does come that they come in. We just want to make sure that people can't oppose it.
And I believe I did sign that waiver with Ken, or was that just?
Not yet. We just talked about it.
Just talked about, all right.
Yeah.
Ken, just to bring us up to speed, if you build without a permit, is there a fine for that, fee for that, or a double fee?
It's at my discretion. It can be a double fee. If I think it was malicious, I double it. If I think it was.
So that's on your desk. We don't
Is
have to
a-
include any of that in our motion. or
But you
anything.
guys can if you want. I mean, if.
I look at it and go, if there was a licensed contractor involved in it and they knew they didn't need a building.
But otherwise,
permit.
it's kind of my call.
I mean, you look and go, it's a $7,000 project, and of the 7,000, 5,500 of it isn't subject to a building permit in far as siding and shingles and things. So, I mean, to me, it looks like it was an honest mistake. You know, I think, Mark, you had some questions on the structure. Your concern was the how it was gonna look at the end.
Yeah, see, the problem or the position you put us in, James, now is you're asking us to grant you a variance for something that you've already started and you already have, investment in, and now we have to, I presume that most of the staff on the board here are going to try to envision if we would have approved this had you not already started, okay? Because we're not trying to make it difficult and costing you money on it, but the guidelines for building and renovations are there for a purpose, and one of them is to make sure that we have the setbacks and make sure that we're not doing extensive repairs to buildings that should be demolished and just start over, that is to say, for example, the issues you had with the garage. So it does put the board in a difficult position, and I don't know, I'm just looking for something that you can tell us that we're gonna feel good about this if we grant you the variance, that this is gonna be a sound, aesthetically appealing structure.
It will be aesthetically appealing. I enjoy doing the carpentry work, and I enjoy making a finished product that is appealing to everyone, to the eye. I like to do it the best I can, and I will make it a nice front, new clean garage doors, and just clean look, straight look all the way around. And I don't want to make that corner look any worse. I want to just make that property better, and I make it look better.
How long have you owned it?
About 3 years.
Okay.
What were you planning on putting on for the siding?
Probably just 8-inch cement board.
I'm sorry?
8-inch cement board, and then white, make it white.
It'll match the house then.
Yes, sir.
Did you calculate it out that that this route was less expensive than just starting over with a new structure?
No, I did not calculate it. I'll put the pen to paper.
It's a pretty big garage. To tear it down and start over would probably be pretty expensive. What do you think, Ken?
I'm sorry.
To tear it down and start over would be,
It'd definitely be 3 or 4 times the cost that he's gonna have into it, yep.
okay.
Have we got feedback from the neighbors on this?
Nope.
Yeah, so they returned their cards and say anything. I think in a motion, we want to put a date of completion. His building permit would be good for 1 year, correct? So basically, we could say it needs to be done within 1 year then.
You can say by July 1st of next year if you want, though. You can cut it down to 6 months.
That'd be fine with me.
And I think that's Mark's biggest concern is that, it's one of those where people come in and say, I got this old building, it's in rough shape. I'd like to build a new building, and because it's in rough shape, you should give me the new building. It's kind of like going, I let it get so run down that now you gotta let me do something we normally wouldn't. Historically, in the last few years anyway, we haven't made people tear buildings down and push them back, because once they start pushing them closer to the house, other things pop up with utilities and trees and sidewalks and things like that. But I think our biggest concern is it looks like the main house is what nice and well kept, and we just want to make sure that it's an improvement to the neighborhood, since there's an exception that is being made as far as the location of the building.
And I know I can't speak for my neighbors, but I am on pretty good standings with all my neighbors, and they all haven't said a bad word to me about it. They say it's going to be very nice, and look forward to seeing it done.
Thank you. Any other questions for James? So with that, I'll close the public hearing. Anyone else here to speak on behalf or against it? Ask for a motion and a second for further discussion. Motion by Mr. Albertson.
I'll make
You're after it.
that we do also say that by June 1st.
And a
that this-
waiver on the sidewalk.
And the waiver and the, not, so you can't refuse to put the sidewalk in.
Yeah.
So June
ki-
30th or
By
June
June
30th.
30th with a waiver right to protest.
Right. So they have to be done by June 30th then.
Yes.
All right. I have a motion by Mr. Albertson. I have a second. Second by Mr. Stein. Any other discussion? Seeing none, I'll ask for a vote. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. You're welcome. Need a motion to adjourn.
We have one old
Oh.
business item.
Old business?
Very small. It's a correction
Very
to
small.
a set of
Yeah, we have a correction
Okay.
to, we found an error on the August 5th minutes. It had to do with the, the Schmidt house, a new house at the lake. And it was just basically almost a typo error. We had the wrong measurement. We had 6.7 where we need to have a variance for a rear setback of 18.3 feet. It's clear on the audio recording and everything. It's just an error on the part of the written minutes.
You need a motion? I'll ask for a motion to modify those minutes and, as Jill stated. Motion by Mr. Dolly. Second by Mr. Stein. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Now I'll ask for a motion to adjourn. Motion by Mr. Stein. Second by Mr. Hanson. All in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? We are adjourned. Getting right after it, Jeff. Let's see a little hustle there, buddy. All right, Jeff, you ready?
Yep.
Like to call to order the, I don't know what day it is. Wednesday, November 4th Plan Commission meeting. Roll call, please.
Council Liaison Albertson.
Here.
Hanson.
Here.
Dolly.
Here.
Shriver.
Here.
Stein.
Here.
McGuire, Johnson, Arnold, and Stonebarger are all absent. We have a quorum.
First item on the agenda is the approval of the agenda. I need a motion and a second.
So moved.
Motion by Mr. Dolly. Second by Mr. Alp.
No, you still don't get a vote on
You,
planning.
you get to, I'm looking real hard at Hanson.
Second.
Second by Mr. Hanson. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. Second item on the agenda is the 2016 Plan Commission meeting schedule approval.
Okay. And we talked about this at the last meeting. Basically, what we're proposing to do is to double the amount of meetings that the Planning Commission currently has. Currently, the Planning Commission meets once a month, third Thursday following the first Monday. We've had some requests to have more meetings than that. We've even held a couple of special meetings so that applicants can keep their projects moving according to their timeline. We talked about it last month. Everyone seemed to be on board. Now we're just looking for official approval from you guys. So
Okay, thank you. With that, I'll open the public hearing. Jeff, as I look through here and study this,
yep.
I don't see anything that says anything to do with dinner.
Well, you've never gotten dinner after a planning commission meetings. You always get dinner from the Board of Adjustment. So you got to talk to Ken about buying you guys some suppers.
Do we still have our Board of Adjustment meeting, or will that be part of this also?
No, we're gonna bring ours to you next month, but it's the same day.
It's same dates. We're still gonna,
Well, it'll be,
we're completely getting ready to the Wednesday
Just
noon.
like these,
Okay.
You'll have normal Wednesday meetings.
Anyone see any dates on here that are conflict? July 4th, Christmas,
And the way we set up the schedule,
day
is
before my birthday?
we did the Thursday after every council meeting, with one exception in November. The second meeting in November would have fallen on Thanksgiving, so we just canceled that meeting. But every other meeting is just the Thursday that follows a council meeting. This works good for our processing, so if you guys approve something on a Thursday, we can typically get it to the council by that next Monday. So
So
we're
that'll
good
help,
there.
that'll help the developers, especially with the development agreements and any changes we make in resolutions. They can bring it back a couple weeks quicker, make some minor changes
Yeah.
and get it back to us.
Absolutely.
Okay. Do you have a motion? For that, I'll close the public hearing and ask for a motion in a second. Down to 3 guys to make the motion.
Also move.
Motion by Mr. Stein.
Ken sweetens the pot next month.
Yeah. Reluctantly second by Mr. Dolly due to the lack of nutrition involved in our meetings. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, motion carries. One other thing in the open, I guess, not in old business. Procedurally, I caught in the city council meeting, Shane had mentioned that with some of these preliminary plans, we'll see a concept plan, then we'll see the preliminary plan, which is the final plan, which is the master plan. But we were going to go through that and then table it. Did he talk to you about that?
Yeah, one of the things.
It was a procedure where we could give our ideas, we could make changes basically to the resolution and then table it.
One thing that he's talked to me about on a staff level is that moving forward with preliminary plans, he doesn't want to see a whole bunch of resolutions get passed for the same development, because, for Stony Point, for example, we had 3 different resolutions passed this summer, and what he would like to see moving forward is that if we're not completely on page, with the developer and the plans that we have, that instead of approving what's in front of us today, we table it and allow some of those changes to be made, so that way we come back, we ultimately only have one
Resolution.
that'll get approved.
And that resolution goes to city council and does not have a first and second reading. It just goes one time, correct?
It goes, we take those recommendations, or the resolution that you guys approve, and we kind of write that into the development agreement. And so whatever recommendations you guys had on that, we put into the development agreement. So if you guys say we want, 30-foot wide roads, the development agreement will say there's 30-foot wide roads, and that's.
And then the development agreement shows when we take it off the table, or will it be after that?
It won't go to council until after you guys approve it.
Right. I mean, we go in, they bring it to us, we talk about it. Instead of passing a resolution and then they come back with modifications, we table it.
Mm-hmm.
They come back to us with a modified original resolution.
Yep.
And then we pass it and it goes to the city council
Yep.
for one reading.
Yep.
Stanton, on Robert's Rule of Order, are we good?
I don't think that's a wrong way to proceed, but I'd maybe defer to Council Liaison Albertson based on this conversation, if you think it might be a better idea, rather than actually formally tabling something, could the Plan Commission, as part of their regular meeting, have a working session where you don't actually take any action, but you give the developer direction on, look, when you come back for approval, these are the things that your plan ought to show, as opposed to going through the formality of table and stuff. Could you do it that way? You could, but I think the council's found over the last several months that their working sessions work pretty good in terms of formulating ideas.
And that was another, goes back to the meeting schedule. That's another reason why we're having more meetings next year, is to, if there's some issues that need to be worked out, applicants can get back to you guys quicker, so it's not necessarily holding them up a whole month or multiple months.
Yeah, that'll give us something to think through. Because the way we do it, it's kind of take it or leave it. They might like
Yep.
parts of the resolution, but not some. And I know Shane had talked about letting us get our eyes on that development agreement, because
Yep.
we pass it as a resolution, and we say, well, in that development, our resolution says in your development agreement, we want it to say this, 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 and this. We never see the development agreement.
Yeah,
It goes
and-
to city council. He kind of like, I think he's trying to integrate a step in there without adding more time to it.
Yeah, absolutely. And in fact, we have a couple of plats that'll be coming to you guys on the 19th, and there'll be development agreements in that agenda for you guys to look at. So we're going to implement that right away.
All right, thank you. Any other, any old business, new business? Nothing executive?
Nope.
Need a motion to adjourn? Motion by Mr. Stein, second by Mr. Dolly. All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. We're adjourned.